the experience. Praise Temple, Shreveport, Louisiana. Bishop L. Lawrence Brandon, Senior Pastor. Love, worship, fellowship, relationships, home. For more information, visit us at praisetemple.com.
Uh-oh. Not yet. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Praise Temple Real Talk. On behalf of Bishop and co-pastor Wanda Brandon and the Praise Temple family, we greet you in divine love, and we are so excited that you are sharing with us this evening. I am your host, Minister Teresa Lee, and I have my co-host, Elder Jamie Phillips.
Good evening. Welcome.
As you come into this virtual platform, please greet everyone. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Share your city and share your state. Share your province in the chat. Well, good evening. Greetings. We see you coming in. Thank you. At this time, we're still going to ask you to greet everyone. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Share your city and your state or your province. Also, as we continue to talk, we want you to think of those questions on tonight. Tonight, we will be continuing the conversation from last week on how are you doing? Greetings, marvelous. Greetings. Thank you for sharing. Greetings. Hello, Elder Price. Thank you for joining us on this evening. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marvelous. If you will take this time to share this program, if you will take this time to copy and paste, if you're on YouTube and if you're on Facebook, just click that share button. Share this. Greetings, Miss Richmond. Greetings. Thank you all for joining us on today. If you will, so continue to share this program. Continue to share this program as you're coming in. As we stated, today we're going to continue talking about how are you doing? How are you doing? We thank you at this time for joining us. We want to say hello to our bishop and our co-pastor. If you're out there watching, we want to tell you hello. We want to greet our families and thank you all for joining us on tonight. Thank you again so much, and we greatly appreciate it. Oh, as we're going on, we want to just give a little update on what's taking place tonight. Tonight, we have Prophet here with us, Prophet Brian Mosley.
The man is in the house, and we want you to know that he knows what's going on and can relate it to the here and now with clarity and with understanding. I think you have time to go home, get you a quick bite, and come out and hear and be blessed by the ministry of Bishop Prophet Mosley.
Yes. Thank you all for continuing to share and continue to come in at this time. Still show us, tell us where you're calling from. Text joining us from, and also continue to let us know you're here. Hit that love button. Show us your favorite emoji. Continue to come in. We greet you all and we thank you all again for joining us on this evening. We're so excited. Mental health is something that is truly needed, and we're here to hopefully answer some questions, to give you some insight, and to let you know that you're not the only one.
You are not the only one. Mental health is a nationwide problem right now it's a challenge that is being addressed, and I'm so glad that we're no longer sweeping it in the back room. We're no longer sweeping it under the rug, simply because mental health is necessary for all of us. And although we've been through a lot in these last 2 years, the concern for mental health did not just begin with the coronavirus. The mental health issues have been around in our homes, in our churches, in our schools, in our neighborhoods since the beginning of time. So this is our opportunity to learn, to grow, to be healthy mentally, physically, and even financially. because we're going to get it together, and we're going to get it together in the name of Jesus.
Amen. Well, hello, Brother Donald Robinson, and hello, Mr. Derek, tuning in from Atlanta, Georgia. We greet you and we thank you so much for joining us on today. Also, go ahead if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, text them in the box and let us know what they are. We'll go ahead on right now and go ahead and start our chat. Elder, how are you doing today?
Oh my goodness. Thank you for asking. That's something a lot of people don't ask, or if they ask, it's just a comment that they make. How are you doing? And the common response is, I'm fine. But then, as I mentioned last week, a lot of the times we will say that we're fine, but inside we're torn apart, because we're going through so many things mentally. We're going through things physically. But me, I press, as Paul did. I press toward the mark. And I can truly say right now, I really am. I'm doing fine.
Well, that is awesome.
Yes,
That's
indeed.
awesome. I'm
Yes,
glad you're
indeed.
doing good today.
I am.
In the chat box, if you'll text us and tell us how you're doing today, let us know how you're feeling on today. Let us know your questions or concerns. And today, I'm doing well as also.
That's good to hear. That's good.
It started out a little tight this morning once I got to work, but as the day went on, everything kind of smoothed itself out.
And it does. It does. Because those of us who try to at least press through whatever we're going through, we remember Romans 8:28, that things will work out for the good. But you have to learn how to press. You have to learn how to stay in the mindset of, I know this is going on in my life now, but I can call on God to help me, to lead me through this yet another challenging situation. That our trials come to only make us strong.
Sincerely, Emmy, we truly see you, and we thank you for joining us on today. We're glad that you decided to tune in, and just know that this day is better because you're still here. Just know that this day is better because you pushed through. Just know that this day is better for you because you didn't give up. You continue to press, and we just want to thank you for that. Now, last week, we started with a question. The question was, how are you doing? And as we were talking last week, we talked a lot about my past and different struggles and different pains that I felt. Today, we're going to ask Elder if she would share one that she may have had to deal with and how she came through it.
I would like to first and foremost talk about how I maintain my mental health. Most mornings, I wake up early. I'm a morning person. I love to get up in the morning, and I just meditate. I try to the best of my ability not to worry about the rest of the day. I try to pace myself and know that I have a certain level of knowledge, a certain level of wisdom that God has given me. And so I really just kind of think about where I am at that point in time and what I need to do and what I can do. And then I reflect upon the fact that regardless of how tough things have been, worry didn't help. But I try to plan, I try to organize, and I know that each and every situation, regardless of how challenging or how difficult, I'm here today, and there was only one person that brought me through. There have been times when I felt like just hiding my head up under the rug because I thought, well, how am I going to fix this? What can I do? And I realized I can't do anything, not without God. So I asked God to help me, to lead me, to guide me. And it's not always a long, drawn out prayer. Sometimes it's just a simple thought and saying, God, I need you to help me today.
Yes.
It's not, you don't have to get down and do that long sandy banks of time thing. You just talk to him just like I'm talking to you and say, God, I need you to help me. This is what's going on in my life. And I know that it's going to work out for my good, but I need you to help me. And he does. He helps me each and every time. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a great grandmother. And we care about our family.
Yes.
We care about our friends. We care about our church family. We care about our jobs and things like that. But we've got to learn how to put things into perspective.
In order.
and just go on and walk on about faith in God and God alone.
Well, that is good to know, Elder. I start my day out similar. Going on in, it gets better because sometimes I tend to think ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need to think ahead because thinking ahead can cause you to be out of order with your thoughts and you'll start going backwards instead of going forward.
That's it.
So we just encourage you on today when you get up, just start thinking in that moment, Don't go beyond that time. As the word says, don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow will take care of itself. But as we're going on, I want to ask a question. And if you're listening, please give me a response in your chat box. The question is, do we carry feelings over from our childhood? And if so, how does it impact you on today? The question was, do we carry feelings over from our childhood? And if so, how does that impact us on today? Greetings, Sister Love. Thank you for joining us. I did not get your information last week, so I'm just boldly asking for it today. If you would email me at praisetemple.com, that's at praisetemple.com. Real talk at praisetemple.com. My apologies. Real talk at praisetemple.com. As you can see, I'm a bit nervous up here. I want to make sure I'm passing the right information on to people as we're talking. So I don't want to do anything out of order. Greetings, Sister Melody. Okay,
Derek
Brother
Clarkson.
Derek.
Mm-hmm.
So a partner and I was wondering, do everyone have some type of mental health issues or situations or problems?
Let's look at that. Does everyone have some type of mental health issues or situations or problems? In the real world, doing real talk, yes, we do. Wouldn't say that it's mental illness, but we have challenges. We have frustrations. We have anxieties. These are situations that when we put them into proper perspective, we can usually come out with an answer that will relay some of our anxieties and some of our frustrations. Why? Because we're going through. We have distractions. We're concerned. We're caring people. But what we're encouraging you to do is put them in the proper perspective. There's a simple prayer that I learned years ago, and I'd like to share it with you at this moment. It simply says, the Serenity Prayer. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and yes, the wisdom to know the difference. And if you will read some and just take a moment to just kind of thumb through Proverbs, there is so much wisdom. It is just rich. That's one of those books of the Bible that is just rich in wisdom that teaches us and reminds us of how to handle some of life's challenges. And then there may not be a quick answer at that time, but that's where your faith kicks in. That's where you go ahead and trust. And that's where you go ahead and say, now, what can I do about this? I've been faced with this kind of situation before. What can I do about that? We have another question.
That's the question that I posed. And Brother Derek, I just want to say that I believe since I've been old enough to have a life and be as an adult, even before an adult, we all have issues and we all face situations. As a child, we don't know that we're facing situations until we get of age to know that something is not right. And how do we do what we saw our parents do or grandparents do or something like that? So we all face those issues. And sometimes we don't handle it right. As an adult, I left home when I was 17 years old. And leaving home, I thought it was easy. I thought I could just leave home and everything was going to be fine. Well, I didn't know I had to get a job so I can pay bills. I didn't know that I had to find a place to live. I just didn't know everything that didn't line up. I didn't learn that until a little bit later. But as I figured it out, I learned that I put myself in that situation first. Secondly, I didn't have the proper training before I did what I did. Thirdly, once I got revelation for my situation, I kind of started figuring out. So I would have to say yes to your question. We all face situations. We all have issues. Now, I'm not going to say all of us are mental, but I believe that we're all dealing with something that has a grip on us.
That's true. And someone mentioned just a few minutes ago, it may have been one of the questions that flashed across our screen about children. You know, children deal with stressors as well. The challenge there is they don't have the language, the knowledge to be able to all the time express their fears or their concerns. Children know that things are not right, and they know most of the time they know right from wrong. However, they're not always in the position to say, this is wrong, that's not right, or this is not right for me because of various situations that they may be involved in. And that is
Yes.
where those of us who are adults, those of us who can encourage or who can be mentors in various situations with the children to teach them life skills. Life skills is something that is sorely missed and is something that children used to get from parents, even used to get from grandparents, or even in the neighborhood. They used to get life skills, but that is something that is sorely missed. And we need to start again teaching children at a very, very early age life skills, what's right and what's wrong. And then they'll ask the question, why? So we need to prepare ourselves to be able to answer why. And if at that time when they ask why this or why that, we're unsure or unable to break it down on their level at that time, let them know, Mom doesn't understand this right now, but let's look this up together so that we can grow together in this area. We need to be advocates for our children because they are the next generation.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Sister Washington, and thank you, Sister Love. I did get to read those comments, and we really, really hope that some of this is helping. Just going back to the adolescents, our children now are facing so many things, and sometimes you can hear a child as early as age 9. I know I've experienced it and heard it to say that I feel like I'm lost. I feel like I'm losing it. Now, I know some of them are giving the credit to the pandemic, but it's not always the pandemic. Things were happening long before the pandemic, and the pandemic just kind of brought some of it to the forefront. So, because parents were not at home to see the kids, most of us had to work. Yes, most of us had to work. Most of us had jobs, that had us away from home before our kids got up and still had us out after they got out of school. So a lot of them were spending a lot of time by themselves and therefore getting into some different things that we wouldn't, as parents, allow them to do.
Right, right.
And so with that being said, from our adolescent childhood up until now, sometimes we take things with us because we don't know how to decipher them. We don't know how to get them out. We don't know really what's right or wrong because we never had the proper question to say, how is this supposed to be done? Or how is that supposed to be done? Because when your parents are in that way of working, they thinking that everything is okay because we don't have an open line of communication. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Greetings, Mrs. Latoya Finley. Greetings. Thank you so much. If you have any questions right now at this time, the question was, do we carry feelings from our adolescent up into our adulthood? And if so, how is it affecting you now? He said, pandemic enhanced the mental illness in every aspect. You're correct. You're correct, Sister Washington. It really did. It touched in every aspect spiritually because we could not go to the house of the Lord and we had to figure out how we were going to do it. Right. Thank God that we were able to stream and we had a platform to where we pulled up on the parking lot. Financially, people were losing their jobs or either couldn't go to work. And that's a hard thing when you have a family. You losing where you live in at. You're just going through a whole lot at that time. Physically, if you can't get to the doctor, because during that time they were only seeing people who had COVID. Everything else, if you had a heart condition, if you had diabetes, if you had cancer, all of those things were kind of pushed to the side because of COVID. And psychologically, some days you didn't know if you were coming or if you were going. You pretty much dealt with things how you dealt with it. And it caused a lot of confusion. So I've heard in homes where you had the two parents or just a parent or grandparents with the kids because everything was so isolated and you had to be bogged down. So it was so many different things going on during
Yes.
that time. And that is so true.
Sister Paula, I'm looking at your question, and it flashed across the screen concerning, do we think that things from our childhood affects us now? And that is one of the topics that we wanted to breach upon tonight, and that is adverse childhood experiences.
Yes.
Adverse childhood experiences. Now, we know as children,
Yes.
we can remember things from, I guess, some of us age 3 or even age 4, some of the experiences that we went through, the positive experiences, and then the not so positive, or in a worldly term, negative experiences. Yes, it does affect our adolescent growth and even our adulthood. Now, let's think about the positives. Let's go for the positives first.
Mhm.
When a parent tells a child, you know, you're so precious to me. I love you so much. I am so glad you're my daughter. I'm so glad you're my son. Let's work on this together. That's a positive comment to a child that encourages them to think, oh wow, mom loves me. I'm important to mom, and I can do da 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 with mom or even with dad. But what if that parent tells that child, even at the age of 3, as some parents would have said, I'm sick of you. You're just like your daddy. You're just no good. You make me sick. Go in the other room, or whatever they tell them that would cause hurt or pain. That is a negative, adverse experience that a child will go through. That is an emotional hurt that the parent may not see at that time, but yet it is embedded within the heart and mind of that child. Because that child may think, I'm like my daddy. He is my daddy. I am born of him. So why are you saying things about him that does not sound or even feel good?
Mhm.
We've heard through the years how adverse childhood experiences affects the children throughout their lifetime. And I'm glad to say that it is being brought to the forefront because it is helping parents learn and listen to their children and learn how to respond to their child, and learn that even though the child may be 3, 4, or even 2 years old, comments that they make to that child has a lasting effect, and especially if it is a negative comment, and that child respects the parent enough to say, that's my mama. I can't really tell her, mama, what you're saying to me hurts.
Mhm.
Mama, what you're saying to me makes me be afraid. Mama, what you're saying to me, is that really right? Is that something that I need to be governed by, what you're saying to me? Adverse childhood experiences, if it's not addressed by a parent or someone else in that child's life that can encourage them to know that they can get beyond that negative comment, that negative behavior from coming from mom, then that becomes manifested in adulthood.
Yes.
So yes, indeed, your question, Paula, is on the money when we're talking about how we talk to our children and how it affects them into their adulthood, even into their adolescent. It affects them emotionally. It affects them physically, because sometimes it causes an added stress that that child does not know how to deal with that added stress. And it may manifest as a behavior. We see a lot of what they call ADHD in the school system. Sometimes a child just going through something and doesn't know, how can I tell somebody I need help in this way? How can I tell somebody I need help? How do I know what help I need?
Mhm.
So,
Yes, yes. I was just reading a question. The question was, they thought that something was bad. If you can post that question, if you could put that question up again, sincerely, Emmy would like to read that question again. It says, I thought my hurt feelings as a child was a bad thing, and they were not addressed. Your hurt feelings as a child, it can be a bad thing if it is not addressed. As I stated last week, and I'm not sure if you remember, but I was raised in a home with my mom and my dad, and I had brothers and sisters. Well, things happen inside that home and outside of that home, but the things that happen outside, it had me into another place. It had me into a place where I felt like something was wrong with me. And in my actions, I was doing things that was not pleasing to my mom or to my dad. I had this bad attitude for one thing. I had that bad attitude because of things happening. Again, no one asked me what happened. They just kept labeling me with all these different things. So when I became a teenager, I just had this feeling inside of me that something has got to be better. I didn't know how to get to the better. I had this feeling that I did not want to live the way that I was living as a child. I wanted my life to be different. I did not know how to get that. And so I just kept going through life. And I had my first child. I had my first child at an early age. When I was a teenager, I was 16 years old. I then dropped out of high school because I refused to let my daughter go through what I went through. So I then focused my attention on that child. Now, the things that were said to me when I were younger than 16, and even once I got 16, that's what really pushed me out the door to start doing stuff. When things were happening to me, I felt like, okay, well, it's okay for me to go ahead and do this. And so I, went out and I got pregnant. But the whole thing is I took what I was feeling on the inside and I made it feel okay to me, and I kept going with it. I didn't learn that I had other options until I was older. And once I learned about those other options, I learned that it was not bad, because if you don't know what's taking place, it can't be bad. Now, if somebody is doing something, you know how you feel, but if you didn't project what was taking place, then you weren't bad. The feelings are bad because of what happened and you didn't have protection.
Right.
However, once you get older and you learn how to do things and you learn how it works now, you project that and you change that with your kids. You have an open line of communication and you let them know that I don't care what's going on. I don't care what's happening. I'm here for you. I can help you. I will help you. There's nothing that you can do on the face of this earth will turn me away from you. So with that being said, I believe that this is just me, that you did not know that you had options, or you did not know how to tell someone, or you held on to it and you thought feelings of shame or embarrassed because you thought it was something that you did. And that's just me talking about how I felt. So right now, our children, they do have options. We have to learn. You're right. We have to learn other options. But as a child, we really don't think that way. We really just think from 1 minute to the next.
One of the things that I think will be most helpful, and I hope that there are some church leaders, ministers, pastors listening to us today. Children respect pastors. Usually, families respect pastors, and they think that whatever is coming across the pulpit is sound advice. And most of the time, it is sound advice. But one of the things that would be helpful if within our ministries now, we begin to broaden the topics to include more family life issues.
Yes.
Even if it's an after a Friday evening spaghetti supper where we can just sit and talk with families one-on-one, if not one-on-one, just bring up certain topics, because we no longer need to deny that mental illness, that child abuse is not happening. It is happening in many, many ministries. It is happening in many, many homes, and it needs to be brought out into the surface, not only for the one who is being abused, but also for the abuser.
Yes.
One of the things you mentioned, Minister Lee, is that some people don't know where to get help from.
Yes.
But if you can trust your man of God or your woman of God to go to them and say, this is what's going on in my mind. This is what's going on in my home. I need to know where I can get some help. I need to talk to someone about this problem without being judged, without feeling as though I'm the worst of the worst, because I'm asking for help. I'm reaching out for help. And because the church has always been a strong foundation of keeping us stable, giving us the wisdom and the knowledge that we need to press on, I think it's an opportune time to begin in our churches, in our congregations, talking about what is going on in the real world. In the real world, mom and dad may be sitting in church holding hands, but as soon as they get in the car, they don't even speak or talk to one another. In the real world, mom is putting the child down, or mom is putting the husband down, or dad is putting the mom down in front of the children.
Mm-hmm.
Those are stressors, stress indicators right there that something is just not quite right. It needs to be handled.
Yes.
It needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Someone needs to be taught how to handle that anxiety, that frustration, that stress.
Mm-hmm.
Homes used to be a place where there's nothing but love. Yes, children were disciplined, but the mom and the dad, the child know mama loves me.
Mm-hmm.
And mom is trying to keep me safe from doing whatever that child was not doing.
Mm-hmm.
So when we can learn to do well, when we can learn that love will conquer the fears, love will conquer the anxieties, you can get beyond what has happened in the past in the home. You can get beyond it when the family chooses to grow together. And that's what's going to help this whole society. When we bring family, when we bring the strength back into the families, all of us have done things that we should and should not have done.
Mm-hmm.
All of us have said things that we should and should not have said. But God has forgiven us. So we have to learn how to forgive ourselves.
Yes.
And how do we do that? By talking it out, by addressing it with someone in a position to really care about you and want you to do better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the day and time to do just that. Even if we do it, as Bishop used to encourage us to do, things in small cell groups where we can openly discuss what is going on and what we need to do and how we can handle it. Let's get love back into the family. Let's go ahead and strengthen our families, strengthen our homes, strengthen our children, the next generation.
Okay, Sister Washington, I'm answering your question. Will you please give a few resources so everyone will know how to reach out for help? You can reach us here at Praise Temple at 318-631-5683. That's 318-631-5683. Or you can reach us at the Real Talk at praisetemple.com. That is real talk at praisetemple.com. We do have licensed counselors here. We do have social workers here. We do have elders and ministers here as well. Someone can help you with whatever it is that you're dealing with. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we can always do the resources.
We will refer.
We will refer.
Mm-hmm.
And to get back to what Elder was saying, if you're not in a church setting, if you don't go to church, if you know someone that you can reach out to, someone that you trust, maybe you're in school, maybe you have a favorite teacher, maybe you have a favorite auntie or favorite uncle, someone that you know will listen to you. Share with that person. Maybe that person can reach out and kind of be a go-between between you and the parent. But we do encourage you to find a church home. We do encourage you to speak to the mom or speak to the dad, or even if you're mom and dad, it's always good to have a covering. Growing up, I didn't grow up in a church. I went to the church, but I didn't know what was going on. You know how you go to church with your grandmother,
Oh, yes.
and she dress you up and she take you in there, you sit down and then you move and she pinch you like, be quiet, you know. So I went to church in that fashion, but I never knew what was going on. I never understood. I never knew who to call on. I didn't find out about Jesus until I was in my early 20s. So I went through life with all this hurt, all this pain, all this frustration, anger, and bitterness built up in me. So in my mind, I was literally killing people who hurted me because I was wishing stuff on them. You know, I was wishing stuff would happen to them. And I mean, just all kinds of things, you name it, I was probably thinking it. But then it got to the point that I got tired of feeling bitter. I got tired of feeling bad. I got tired of always, when I go to a family function, I see people there who hurt me. I got tired of always having to be the one to walk away. So my grandmother would always say to me, call on Jesus. Well, I still didn't know who Jesus was, but I said, okay, Jesus, my grandmother told me to call on you. So I'm calling you. And at that time, I'm not going to say right away, But the more I started calling him again, I didn't know the word. I didn't know that there was a Bible that taught his word. I didn't know none of that. All I knew was to call on the name of Jesus. And I have to say, from that point to this point, that God was covering me. He knew what was taking place, and he knew I had a desire for something to be different. Even though it didn't come out the way that Elder was saying, go to your pastor or go to your first family or anything like it didn't come out that way. Eventually it came out. And I just want to encourage you to open up to someone that you trust. Don't just tell it to anyone. Again, like Elder said, we don't want to be judged. We just want you to hear us and help us find a solution or guide us to the right people so that we can get this help, because our kids are suffering. Even some adults are still suffering, holding on to the past, holding on to what mama said, or holding on to what daddy said, or holding on to the way that the family was divided when mama and daddy had pickers and choosers. You know, it's still festering now. So at this time, you know, it's time to let this stuff out. If you want to live a happy life, if you want to live a free life, free of regrets, free of your past being in front of you, you're going to have to forgive that past and move forward.
Gotta let it go. You've got to let it go. It's not something that you can do at a moment's notice. It's not something that'll happen all at once, but it is a process. And the process starts with just one day at a time. The process starts with you realizing that I was hurt by this, or I was hurt by that person or whatever, and said, I'm going to have to get beyond it because God brought me through it for a reason. Someone very close to me went through something that was was life-threatening, as a matter of fact. And one of the things that this person said, she'd been attacked and had been molested, attempted molested. And one of the things she said, and I did not understand it at that time, was she forgave that person. She forgave him. And one of the things she wanted to do was move ahead. And when I realized just what she was saying and how she was saying it, I totally agreed with her and reminded her she was not a victim. Sometimes labels keep us stuck. You're not a victim. You are a survivor. And you are a survivor for a reason. Know that you can get beyond the hurt, you can get beyond the pain, and you can use that test as a testimony to be a blessing to someone else. But you've got to know that step one must come first. Forgive yourself. Forgive that person. Have the strength to say, I'm going to walk on and get beyond this. I don't understand why this happened to me. You won't understand everything, but you can get beyond it. Why? Because you were granted the peace and the survival to get beyond it. So if you got beyond it, you are a survivor, and you will continue to walk and be strengthened as you walk by faith. You've got to trust God. He brought you through it for a reason. And some of the situations that some of the people that have gone through some traumatic events, I'm sure were just very, very traumatic. In my career as nursing, I have seen some horrible things that people have gone through, and have encouraged them to look to their future, to understand that you can get beyond whatever it is that hurt you to the core, whether it's mental or physical, may have hurt you to the core. But ask God, God, help me to get beyond this. Give me the strength I need to go ahead and move beyond what has happened to me in the past. It's called growing. And we grow, we learn, and we grow. And someone is saying that, Paula, forgive yourself and forgive that person. We totally agree with Praise Simple. Someone on PraiseSimple.com says, as we agree, forgive yourself, because it may not have been your fault. It may not have been your fault. And even if it was your fault, and you thought, I should not have gone there, or I should not have listened to this or listened to that person, forgive yourself still. Forgive yourself for being there, and know that you are a survivor. And that this too shall pass. Forgive yourself and forgive that person.
Yes, and Sister Marvelous, I saw that statement that you made, and that is so true. That is so true. We have to model better because some of those bad behaviors that we have can pass on to our children.
Exactly.
And we can do it unknowingly. You know, we feel like we survived through the beatings, we survived through all this stuff, and we feel like our children can too. So you're absolutely correct. We have to start thinking about others above self. And just to address something, I'm going back a little bit.
Okay.
Bishop brought up something last week about forgiving the predator, forgiving the one who has preyed on you. And Bishop was correct in that sense. I'm not going to keep talking about myself, but I have so much, you guys. I have so much that I can talk to you about. I can probably say just about anything that has happened, I have probably dealt with it. I probably have. And I just thank God that I'm sitting here today and I can tell you about it. So if you have questions about anything, feel free to email me at realtalk@praisetemple.com. That's realtalk@praisetemple.com. Or call us here at the church. We will be happy to answer those questions. But back to the predator. I'm going to share this. I'm not ashamed or afraid anymore. I was molested at an early age, and it happened for a while. I did not know that I should forgive people that hurt me until I was probably 25 or 26 years old. So I was walking with a wall. I was bitter. I was agitated. I was, you name it, it was me, probably so. The only thing I wouldn't do is drink alcohol and smoke drugs. So I decided to do something different, which was focus on my kids. And once I learned that God had and will forgive me whenever I open my mouth and go to him sincerely to ask for forgiveness, maybe I cursed somebody out. Maybe I hit somebody. I don't care what I did. When I went to God, he forgave me. And I remember reading something in the Bible that said, I can't call the names right now because I'm just really talking, but this person forgave someone for owing them 10,000 shekels or something like that. And then someone owed the person that was forgiven 10 shekels, and he would not forgive this person. So if God can forgive me for what I have done, said, or not done, I know that I can forgive other people, because nothing is bigger than when you go to God and ask God for forgiveness, and then you give the same thing that God gave to you, forgiveness. Now, I can tell you this. I felt a whole lot better once I started forgiving. Now, it didn't happen overnight. I'm going to tell you right now, it didn't happen overnight. This was a constant thing for me. Every day I had to do it. But once I started filling myself with being able to go around my family again, being able to do things that I wasn't able to do before, then I knew that God was in that place with me. And I know that I was working out, healing myself from my past. And I learned that my past didn't prevent my future.
And it can't. I'd like to address this question with my sister LaTanya. Her question is, how do you deal with grief? Now, that's an area that I really had struggles in, simply because I grew up with a family. My grandparents were wonderful people. My grandfather was my hero, my grandmother, my mom. But your question is revolving around the loss of a baby. I had a coworker whose baby was born, stillborn. And her daughter was dealing with the fact that she loved the baby, loved being pregnant, but did not understand why the baby was born stillborn. And one of the ways that I encouraged her to think about just what had happened was to let her know that God had her to be pregnant for a reason. She carried the baby and carried the baby full term. She did her part in carrying the baby. She did her part in even delivering the baby. We don't understand everything that happens to us, but your purpose, LaTanya, was to carry that baby and to deliver that baby. The good thing that I want you to think about is where that baby is now. That baby is in heaven with God. And you know, God wants angels also. God wants some of the babies to be with him, and that is left up to him. You do your part, God does the rest. Grief is a stage that you go through. It is not something that you get through all at once. But one of the things you do is be grateful for the fact that you were allowed to carry the baby, and that baby is with God, because we don't know what future could have been ahead for that child had you not carried the baby full term, and now God has the baby. So just be encouraged. You did your part. God will do the rest.
Amen. Well, we want to thank you all for joining us on this evening. Sister Price, we see your question, and that question is one that we have to answer on Monday. We hope that you will all join us again. If you will, I hope you've enjoyed your time on Real Talk, and we look forward to seeing you right here next Monday at 6 p.m. on Praise Temple's YouTube Live, Facebook Live, or social media platforms. We want to thank our co-host and all of you for joining us on this evening. And we want to say, join us next week again for Real Talk.
God bless you. God keep you. We will continue talking about grief next week as well. God bless you. We love you. Until then,
be blessed.
Love yourself.
Amen. Bye.
Thanks for watching. For prayer, call 318-631-LOVE. That's 318-631-5683. We are better together. For more information on how you can connect with this ministry, please visit us at praisetemple.com.